Hello and welcome to your IBM I update for February and March 2025, a snapshot of news and views on what's been happening in the IBM I community in the past few weeks as reported by Proximity, your premier partner for IBM I application support and development. So, at the end of February, IUG returned to its spiritual home of the Norton Grange Hotel in Rochdale, a venue in which they've been ever present for, I think, the past 3 decades. And as always, has been the tradition since its inception, started with tea, coffee, and the obligatory bacon butties. All very good. As always, the IUG team brought us a cracking schedule featuring expert speakers. We kicked off the day with a State of the Nation presentation from the IUG committee. Here they explained that IUG continues to grow from strength to strength with new and returning delegates and continuing interest in their education programs. So a very big well done indeed to Team IUG. Now, there were many topics that deserved your attention, but for the update, I'd like to concentrate on the conference keynote presentation on hybrid AI. This was presented by IBM Power Lead Jay Diamond and Principal David Spurway. And I must say, it was a joy to see David back and well with his inimitable enthusiasm for all things IBM I and Power. So, in past IBM I updates, we've discussed AI and the upcoming IBM I Code Assistant. But on the whole, discussions in the IBM I space have been mostly in and around the area of generative AI. But there's more pillars besides generative AI that help provide better results, less hallucinations, while providing a more focused business value model. Now, I'll provide a summary here, but should you wish to experience the full presentation and demonstration, then you have another chance to join David and the IUG team in London on the 13th of March and experience David live. Now, David started by explaining just what hybrid AI is. Referencing an article from Forbes, David explained that it's a fusion of 3 existing pillars of AI. These are neural, or traditional machine learning, generative, of which includes LLM, and symbolic. This is the rules-based reasoning. So by combining these 3 pillars, you engage a powerful toolset that better enables you to leverage AI without the inherent weaknesses of the individual strands. But surely this isn't possible, Andy, I hear you say, and yes, I've been one of those many players eulogizing over the potential that AI can bring business. Recently, I've spoken about the AI coding assistant and what that can bring to the table, but it's worth taking a moment to look at the bigger picture. For example, the IBM I coding assistant will come under the generative AI strand. You transact with this type of AI using human conversational text to produce, in the case of the coding assistant, RPG code. This will allow the user to ask in plain English for the assistant to write a program, resolve a problem, or analyze code. Using its collective knowledge, this is the LLM, it will generate programs to your heart's content. But one of the most significant limitations is in its propensity to generate seemingly plausible code that's actually incorrect, fabricated, or doesn't function as intended, essentially making up parts of the code that aren't based on real logic or requirements. These hallucinations, as they're called, cause a real risk when relying on AI code-generated tools, as experienced developers will be needed to carefully review, verify the generated code to avoid potential issues. Now, neural AI, or deep learning, is in the heart of this new wave of AI rollout. However, this is expensive to train, demands huge datasets and even larger processors. Therefore, it's not suitable for small or specialized environments, and, as the old adage goes, garbage in, garbage out. If training is incomplete or the data biased, then the model will reflect these in its outputs. Traditional or symbolic AI also has its weaknesses. It's rigid, tightly bound by the predefined rules presented. Sure, if you're looking to automate business processes, this is a great step forward, but it lacks the adaptability and simply isn't able to handle new or unexpected situations. But by combining these three pillars, hybrid AI can balance each individual weakness. So, for example, rules-based AI adds expandability and structure to machine learning. Machine learning adds pattern recognition and adaptability to rules-based AI. And generative AI adds creativity and automation, while RAG, this is the retrieval augmented generation, and more on this in a little bit, prevents hallucinations. So imagine it like your roast dinner, your Sunday lunch. It's not quite complete without your meat and 2 veg. And sticking with that Sunday lunch metaphor, what is the gravy that brings this dinner together? And are there any trimmings to make it even better? Well, yes, there is plenty of gravy in the boat. One such item was printed in an article published on LinkedIn by Jay Diamond, of whom introduced and prefaced this session. He explained that SLMs, or small language models, could fit better with more specialized applications. Not only would they be quicker to train, but they also consume less energy and are easier to be fine-tuned for specialist tasks. Next is the big new talking point in AI technology, and that is with Agentic AI. This is the automation layer of hybrid AI, combining the neural AI, the deep learning generative AI, to process text, voice and images, symbolic AI, the rules-based systems to ensure structured decision making, and the machine learning, predictive models to adapt, improve over time, and of course your RAG, your retrieval augmented generation, to retrieve real-time fact-based data before taking action. So, speaking of RAG, retrieval augmented generation, this is the bridge between traditional AI and generative AI, allowing LLMs and SLMs to integrate with structured enterprise data and real-time information sources. I'll let David explain a little more.
So how RAG works is it's a bit like getting human interaction, so looking at a document, getting a person to answer a question based on the document you're reading. Got another example of that in a second as well. So you need to know, where did the large language model get its answer? Is the answer based on updated material? Because it can make things up and it can be out of date, where did it get the answer from? And you can control that, show that. It does it by working with an external data source, where the answer is, where is it validated from, how current is it, and if you can get it to do this, it can tell you, and then you know where the flipping thing came from. No model training required. So we are repeating this several times because this is something we're good for with Power. We don't need to do this. Retraining takes GPUs. We don't need to. We can just run the thing on Power and we don't need to do that. It's similar a bit to if you set a closed book exam. So standard exam you go into, you wander in, you sat at your desk with nothing else, all you've got is your brain. That's a bit like how these models work. Large language models or small language models, they've only got the data they were trained on to be able to answer your question on. However, with RAG, we can get to an open book exam. My daughter and I went up to see my parents, so she was sitting up in Scotland in my parents' living room, and she sat an exam in my parents' living room. And they opened up at 12 o'clock, and she had all 24 hours to be able to answer the exam. So that's not how I did the exam. But she can sit there and read the book. What you still need to be able to do is understand what you're getting. So you've got your book, get the data back, and the model needs to be smart enough to be able to understand the book that it's reading. And that's still the case here, but we can actually give it some information with some smarts of the large language model to be able to answer the question like an open book exam.
But why does this all matter for the IBM I community? Well, RAG will ensure that your AI responses are accurate, verifiable, and cost-effective by eliminating the need for constant model retention. And as we're running all IBM I Power servers, RAG will effectively process real-time enterprise data without requiring the external extensive GPU, which are of course very expensive. So you can see how this could be a real game changer for businesses running on IBM Power systems. But there was more, and David provided a real-time demonstration on how RAG can support your enterprise with hybrid AI and what this would mean for your business. He provided examples and elements of Agentic AI too. It really was an enlightening presentation delivered with pace and verve, as you expect from David. And as I said previously, should you wish to learn more and see the presentation yourself, you still have the opportunity to do so. Jay and David are presenting the very same presentation at the IUG Conference South on Thursday the 13th of March at IBM York Road in London. I'll be there, and so should you too. Now, moving on, rumours are rife on what IBM's major announcement on IBM I will be. Steve Will provided a snippet of information during his strategic preview. In this, Steve said,
"But we are about to change the roadmap again like we do every 3 years. Very soon, we're going to start talking about this year's IBM I next major release." Okay, all of you should be expecting a major release this year because we do 3 years between major releases. I can't announce everything or anything specifically right now, but you all should be expecting that. So when we're going to do a preview of 2025, I simply have to say, you can all expect there's going to be another major release.
So it's clear that IBM will be releasing a major version. A version 8 perhaps, or will the new AI hot sauce, perhaps God forbid, make it a rebrand? Indeed, Will gave a nod in this direction. He said, "We want to embed AI into DB2 and make it easier for DB2 data to be shared with AI environments. We want to make it easier for people to deploy and manage AI workloads that are connected to IBM I." So lots of exciting stuff upcoming from IBM I, and you'll be sure to learn more about this major release on the IBM I update as and when it happens. And finally, a reminder for all who have a Power 9. IBM will end standard service for Power 9 systems on January the 31st, 2026. This means that IBM will no longer provide updates, patches or maintenance for these systems after this date. Now, while IBM have a history of providing extended support, should you have such a system, now perhaps would be a good time to consider your options for a Power 10 and upgrading to OS 7.5. And that's it for this month's update. For more like this, please do see our blog on the proximity.co.uk website. But for now, I'm Andrew Nicholson. We are Proximity, the IBM I partners that are in your corner. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.